What was polite 30 years ago but is considered impolite today? I'll blow my cigarette smoke the other way while you eat dinner. Stopping by a casual acquaintance's home unannounced simply because you were in the neighborhood. No immediate communication for a few days due to lack of widespread cell phone use and instant messaging. It was normal to just go a couple of weeks without hearing back from a friend, or even a few days without talking with a close friend or family member. If someone didn't answer the phone, the assumption was that they simply weren't home and would get back to you within the next couple of days. Not that something was wrong. My life flashes before my eyes when I don't expect company and someone rings the doorbell. Placing an ashtray on the table during a kid's birthday for the smoking guests. According to my daughters, a sentence that ends like this, asterisk, apparently. To a generation younger than my own, the trailing dots imply annoyance or sarcasm. Whereas to me they're just the written equivalent of thinking out loud and leaving a question or thought hanging for possible feedback. What secret was revealed when cleaning out the home of a deceased family member? My nan had about a platoon's worth of American servicemen's photos tucked away. That my father committed suicide and did not die of a heart attack. That he was a cop under investigation for theft and took the quick way out. A diary with only a few entries from my uncle who lived alone. One of the entries was about how sad he was to have never met anyone or had children and how lonely he was. Broke my heart. Grandpa did drawings of the faces of the people he killed in WW2. Nobody knows why, but my grandma said he had a lot of guilt over the things he saw, so my guess is he didn't want to forget them or didn't feel like he should be allowed to forget them. Mine was confirmation of a wild story. My grandfather served in Korea. For years there was a tall tale about how he won a house in Korea. Unsure how to phrase this politely online. That it included the family who owned it and essentially anyone who worked there in a game of poker. That when he returned home, after a few years of receiving letters and small payments, my grandmother told him to give the ownership back to the family. I don't think anyone really believed him when the story was told over and over again. My grandmother died when I was young, so couldn't ask her if it was true. When he passed away and we were cleaning out the house, we found the letters from the family and the letter from the lawyer Gramps used to officially return ownership. My grandpa owned a pleasure house in Korea. Is a sentence that's hard to say. That my dad hid money all over the house. Not huge amounts, mind you. But $60 here, $120 there. Felt like a bit of a scavenger hunt when we were cleaning out his stuff. He was always a bit of a sneakily generous guy. Always gave me and my brothers a secret handshake with money tucked in his palm when we'd go back to school after a weekend home, etc. So wouldn't be surprised if he'd done it intentionally. Made us smile every time we found some. I think the final total was somewhere around $800. What's a fact that has been actively disproven, yet people still spread it? Cracking your knuckles causes arthritis. The misconception that humans only use 10% of their brains, which has been debunked by neuroscience. In reality, various parts of the brain have specific functions, and most of the brain is active at different times. Gum stays in your intestines for 7 years if you swallow it. Strangers will give me free drugs on street corners and in Halloween candy. Scientists don't know how bees fly. Carrots improve your night vision. It was a fact promoted by the Allies during WW2 to hide their invention of radar. All those British pilots are downing German bombers at night because they eat so many carrots. Totally not because we have a device that lets us see them day or night from dozens of miles away. which widely accepted historical fact is, in reality, entirely false. Marco Polo brought noodles to Italy. In his writings, he compared different noodles to different shapes of pasta. So his readers must have known these pasta shapes. Corsets were not typically tight-laced. They were only tight-laced by the highly fashionable women, and usually only for particular events or portraits. Corsets were designed to be comfortable. Women wore a cotton layer underneath the corset, so it didn't rub against the skin. The corset was more like a bra. But instead of using the shoulders to support it, used the whole torso. Some people claim they are much more comfortable than modern bras. The intense proportions of the past were achieved with corsets and padding. Tight lacing was uncommon, but layers of petticoats or hoops or bum rolls or whatever else at the time was very common to give women the trendy body shape at the time. That Johnny Appleseed was a poor, benevolent wandering hobo who planted apple orchards across America so that people would have access to healthy fruit. In reality, he was a wealthy, calculating businessman who was planting orchards to make hard cider, and he was doing so to keep up with the westward expansion. So he was always staying ahead of the curve. He was also an eccentric who would walk barefoot and used a cooking pot for a hat. That part of the myth is actually true. Marie Antoinette never said, "Let them eat cake." Ninjas dressed in all black to stay stealthy in the night or something like that. Ninjas dressed like normal people to blend in. The all-black look stemmed from Japanese theater to make it more obvious to the audience who the ninjas were. William Howard Taft never got stuck in a bathtub. It was slander by his political opponents. What double standards make you angry? As a federal government employee, why do I have to follow all kinds of ethics rules, but politicians and judges don't? That some people expect you to respect their no, whilst they will most definitely not respect yours. School bullying. The kid getting picked on has essentially no power. Go to a teacher? Get labeled a snitch and tattletale. Don't do anything? You're just made an easier target. The moment they fight back, they're the ones that end up dealing with detention, suspension, expulsion, etc. You have more power as a bully in the schools than the victim. Politicians that get away with inside trading. Rules for thee, not for me when it comes to the politically connected. I'm 41 years old and have cerebral palsy. If I try to find anything related to the disease, how to deal with it, any kind of ongoing care, it is virtually impossible because all the care is just for children. With CP, it's like once you turn 18 the world just doesn't care anymore. Which celebrity did Hollywood fuck over the most? Birds actress Tippi Hedren refused to have sex with Alfred Hitchcock. Due to a contract with him, she couldn't work elsewhere for a couple years. Judy Garland made me think of this. Look at her right before she died at age 47. See looks 80. https www.reddit.com/r/lastimages/s/yjoxger7ulu. Mira Sorvino. Several directors admitted blacklisting her at Weinstein's request when she rejected his advances. Amanda Bynes and any child actress on Nickelodeon. Brendan Fraser. Yes, he eventually recovered, but he was blacklisted for a long time. Harvey Weinstein's victims. Subscribe, my brothers.